Hey everyone, welcome to Practically We Bring Learning Alive. Okay, so today we are going to talk about algae, bryophytes, and teradophytes. This what we started is we started talking about the most important topics when it comes to NEET biology, especially. Okay, so what we do is what we think is that every year certain topics come for the questions every year. They tend to get repeated a lot. Okay, so what we decided is why not do something which will help you guys. See, not everybody is prepared thoroughly. A lot of you are, but not everybody is thoroughly prepared for NEET, right? So we want, as students, we want some things which we know. We want to learn things which we know for sure. Okay, so that is why we wanted to do this. Now, algae, bryophytes, teradophytes. The thing with algae, bryophytes, and teradophytes is that a lot of questions tend to come from the life cycle of these chapters. Okay, so the life cycle of bryophyte, especially life cycle of teradophytes. Okay, so that is where the questions come from. They'll take small topics, small lines from those topics, and then they'll put questions from there. Okay, so today what we are going to do, today we are going to see what are those main concepts, okay, concepts which you definitely cannot leave. And with that, what we'll do is we'll try to solve some questions. Okay, so let's get started then. Okay, so we'll just start. As I said, we are talking about algae, bryophyte, and teradophytes. Now when it comes to algae, bryophytes, and teradophytes, no, see, the thing is plant kingdom. We know plant kingdom is huge. We don't only have algae, bryophytes, teradophytes. Okay, we have gymnosperms also. We have angiosperms also. So those we'll talk about. Of course, we'll talk about those. But today we are going to concentrate on these three. Okay. So this is what it looks like, the plant kingdom. Okay, this is what the plant kingdom looks like. And see, this is the plant kingdom. And plant kingdom, when it comes to sub-kingdom, what we do is we divide it. Okay, we divide it to cryptogamy and phanerogamy. Okay, or cryptogams and phanerogams. We'll talk about cryptogams and phanerogams. Please hold on. Okay, so what we do, we'll just see how it gets divided. Okay, so cryptogams and phanerogams. What we do is we take cryptogams and we divide it into three parts, three types. Okay, there is Thallophyta, there is Bryophyta, and there is Teradophyta. So today what we are going to do, today we are going to talk about cryptogams. Okay, now listen to this very carefully. Okay, so Thallophyta is divided into algae and fungi, but fungi on its own is a different kingdom according to Whitaker. Okay, so fungi does not come in plant kingdom. Okay, so it's not included right now. It's not included in plant kingdom. But what we have algae. Algae comes in plant kingdom. The thing is, there's a very thin line. Okay, there's a very thin line when it comes to fungi and plant kingdom and algae and everything. Very mixed characteristics they have. Some has this characteristic, some has that. It's quite a very confusing, very mixed. So we have to make sure that we are focused and we know what is. Okay, so as I said, fungi, they are a kingdom on their own. So we're not going to consider that. What we are going to do, we're going to consider algae. So that is what is. In cryptogams, what we consider is algae, bryophytes, and teradophytes. Okay, and in the next class, we'll do gymnosperm and angiosperm. This will be in the next session. Okay, so today we're going to do about cryptogam and phanerogam. But we have to learn first what is cryptogam and what is phanerogam. So very easy. The name itself, it suggests what is cryptogam and what is phanerogam. So what is cryptogam? Cryptogam is basically plants which they are plants. It's not that they're not plants. They are plants, but they reproduce by spores without flowers and seeds. Okay, crypto. Okay, not as in crypto, the money thing. This is crypt. Crypt basically means old. okay, or primitive. So these are kind of underdeveloped plants, okay? These are kind of underdeveloped kind of plants. And these are what they do is they basically reproduce via spores. Now what does it? Does it ring a bell? It does ring a bell, right? Who else does that? Who else reproduces via spores? It is fungi. Okay, so fungi is another one who reproduces via spores. Okay, now please remember, okay, fungi, they are a kingdom on their own because they have a different kind of characteristics, like they have chitin covering and everything else. Okay, so we had to push them into a different kingdom. But characteristics, as I said, there's a very thin line. Characteristics tend to mix up. Okay, but don't mix up in your exam. That is a given thing. Okay, so cryptogam means hidden reproduction, referring to the fact that no seed is produced. Thus, cryptogams represent the non-seed bearing plants. The non-seed, that's all you have to remember. The non-seed bearing plants. Okay. The next thing is phanerogams. These are developed plants. Okay, they are developed plants. Okay, so phanerogams or phenogams, okay, comprise the plants that produce seeds. Hence, the alternative names is seeded plants. So these are spores. Phanerogams are spores, and cryptogams are spores, and phanerogams are seeds. That's all you have to remember. These are spores, and these are seeds. Okay, next. So the first thing we have to consider is that we have to go through algae. Very, very important. Okay, if bryophytes we require, in bryophytes we require this thing, what to say, in bryophytes we require a whole life cycle and everything. Algae is important for its types. A lot of questions tend to come for its types. Okay, there are 3 kinds of algae, and a lot of questions including uses and the characteristics. A lot of questions tend to come. So we'll do that only. Algae, okay, most primitive kind of plant, and they are mostly aquatic, some terrestrial also. Few algae grow on other plants. This we'll talk about. So mostly algae, where you will find is some some lakes, some ponds, few rivers or something, small plants, like small areas of water or something, even bigger they can have. Okay, algae is mostly marine, but there are some algae which grow on other plants. These are known as lichens. Okay, they kind of have a symbiotic relationship, so that's why they are known as lichens. Again, next, they may be small, unicellular, microscopic, like chlorella and chlamydomonas. Okay, so the difference, there is a huge range of algae which you find in our planet. Okay, so first what you can find is, you can find very small ones. Okay, very microscopic ones you can find. Those are known as chlorella. For example, this is just an example. Okay, so small unicellular, that's just one cell. Okay, next is multicellular unbranched filamentous like Spirogyra or Urothrids. These are smaller, but they're multicellular. They have more than one cell. What else do we have? We have huge macroscopic also, such as seaweeds, which measure more than 60 meters in length. So as I said, there's a huge range. Okay, there's a huge range. First, we find very small microscopic ones, and then maybe multicellular ones, a little bigger, and then very huge. See, 60 meters in length. That's huge. Okay, so 60 meters of length of algae you can find also. For example, sargassum. Again, I tend to repeat myself, but please remember the examples. Okay, next, the algal cell wall consists of 2 layers, inner cellulosic and outer composed of pectin. So, see, in this picture only you will find the algal cell wall, inner cellulosic and outer composed of pectin. So there's an inner wall and an outer wall. Inner is cellulosic. Since it's a plant, okay, plants, what do they have? That special characteristic of cell wall. What is it? Cellulose. Similarly, in algae also, it is cellulose only. Okay, and they have an outer composed of pectin. Not that is also giving some support, but the main person here is cellulose. Okay, and what else? The algae consists of various type of photosynthetic pigments: chlorophyll A, carotenoids, and phycobilins. See, plants, no, they are green in color. They have chloroplasts. They have chlorophyll. They do photosynthesis. So they are, the moment you are known as a plant, what do you know? The moment it's a plant, they are producers. They do photosynthesis. They can make their own food. They are autotrophic. That's all you know about plants. So similarly, even for algae, it is the same thing. Okay. And they reserve food material in the form of starch, laminarin starch, mannitol, Floridian starch. So different things they can store. Okay, plants, they have a huge storage capacity. Even in algae, they have a huge storage capacity, and they are used to store a lot of food particles. Now, this is something which is very related. Okay, algae is a huge source of protein. Okay, that is why they are known as single celled protein. So the single cell proteins are a huge source of proteins. When it was found out that there is a huge difference between the requirement of food and the supply of food, that is when scientists came up with some kind of proteins which can be taken easily, which can be digested easily, and does not cause any problems, especially from plants. Okay, so algae is one of those things. Algae, you can actually consume it. Okay, and they are very good for your health also. They're useful for a lot of different purposes, such as bio oil, biodiesel, etc. That is there, but they are used for single cell protein also. Okay, so remember this, SCP. Okay, so as I said, the types of algae, that is quite important, the types of algae. The first thing is chlorophyce. I understand the picture is a bit hazy, so just bear with me. Okay, so chlorophyce, the name chloro, the moment you hear the word chloro, think it's green, nothing else. So chlorophyce is green algae, has chlorophyll A and B, stores starch, has cellulose, and it's found in fresh water, brackish water, salt water. Okay, so what you have to do is, this is very easy to remember. Okay, you do not have to go lines after lines after lines to remember things. Just remember these facts. Chlorophyce, green, starch, cellulose, fresh water, brackish water, salt water. That's all you have to remember. Okay, next, Phaeophyce, that is brown, has chlorophyll A, and since it's brown in color, of course, there is chlorophyll, but they'll have some other color also. Okay, because that is why the brown color is showing, isn't it? So, fucoxanthin. Again, remember this. Whatever here is there, okay, this table, whatever here is present, just remember those things. Okay, so chlorophyll and fucoxanthin, stored food, mannitol, laminarin, cellulose and algin, that is the cell wall, and fresh water, brackish water, salt water again. Okay, and the last one is rhodophyte, that is red algae. There is something you need to know about rhodophyte. Okay, so it is said that some plants, plants mostly in water bodies, when plants are living in water bodies, they cannot live very deep. Okay, because plants, what do they need for photosynthesis and everything? What do they need? They need sunlight. That is one of the most important things. If it's activated, then only if they get photons, then only they can get activated and they can go for photosynthesis. Now, so there are plants only present in some some 150 meters or something like that. Okay. Now there are plants such as this rhodophyte, that is red algae, which can even, like at the bottom part of the ocean also, they can stay. How do they stay? That's because of this thing, phycoerythrin. So phycoerythrin has a very unique quality. So whatever sunlight is reaching at that depth, what they do is they take that. Okay, Okay, so it won't be yellow in color or something, it will be some bluish in color. Okay, and that very little amount of light only they'll take it, and with the help of this pigment phycoerythrin, they will use it up. That little amount of sunlight, they use it up and then go for photosynthesis. So at the huge depth of the ocean, what kind of plants you'll find? Of course you'll find Rhodophyceae, that is red algae. Okay, so now what is stored? Food stored is Floridian starch, and cell wall is cellulose, pectin, polysulfate esters, and it's found in fresh water, brackish water, salt water, salt water mostly. That's why, as I said, the ocean bed and sea bed and everything, the depth of oceans, depth of seas, okay, that is where you'll find Rhodophyceae. Okay, the next thing is Bryophyta. Okay, so a bit higher level than algae. Algae we know unicellular, multicellular and everything. This Bryophyta, if you look at it, you'll see, okay, there are some characteristics of plants. You can see, look at it only and you can say that, okay, there are some characteristics of plants. Okay, so mostly terrestrial plants which depend on external water for fertilization and completion of their life cycle. So even if they're living out, okay, even if they're living out of water, okay, they need a little bit of water so that they go for they need water for their reproduction. For the pollination purposes, they need water. Okay, they grow in shady and moist places such as moist walls, damp rocks, moist soil. Of course, as I said, they need some kind of water around them. Okay, that's why some moist wall or some moist surfaces, etc. that is required, because without water, the gametes cannot travel. Okay, and water is the pollination factor over here. Okay, so without water, the gametes will not be able to travel from the male portion to the female portion. That is why they need water. Okay, so they show thalloid plant body which is not differentiated into root, stem and leaves. See, it's not division and divided into root, stem and leaves, but you can still see some parts. Okay, some parts you can actually see, although it's not properly divided. It's not properly divided, but there are you can see that, okay, it looks like a plant. Okay, in Bryophytes, true roots are absent, but rhizoids are present. See, so here you can see. So these are not true roots, they're just rhizoids, they're just there to hold on to it. Okay, so they are known as rhizoids. Rhizoids are unicellular in liverworts, while multicellular in mosses. Liverworts and mosses are examples of Bryophytes. They absorb water, minerals, and also help in fixation of thallus to the substrate. And that's what I said, just to hold on to it. Absorption in minerals, that is the work of a root. Okay, but its major thing is, since it's growing in some very moist areas, etc. Okay, they need something to hold on to. Okay, the plant has to hold on securely. That work is done by the rhizoids. Okay. Okay, so as I said, there are some parts from where questions tend to come up a lot. Okay, so one of them was examples of algae and types of algae. The other thing is this thing, the whole life cycle of Bryophytes. Okay, that is very important. Not only Bryophytes, the type of Bryophytes in liverworts and in mosses, that those life cycles are kind of important. Okay, so the main plant body produces gametes, hence it's called Gametophyte. So the main plant body, see, this is the main plant body. Okay, and there are gametes. Okay, that's why it's called Gametophyte. The sex organs in Bryophytes are multicellular. The male sex organs in Bryophytes is called antheridium, and the flask-shaped female sex organ is called Archegonia. So here you can see, okay, there is antheridium, okay, that's the male part, and there is Archegonia, the female part. Okay, so this is the actual plant, and there is the male part, and there is the female part. So now what happens? We'll see. Okay, so the egg secretes a chemical which attracts spermatozoids. Sperms require thin film of water for swimming. So here you can see, here egg, it's attracting the, it's attracting the sperms. So now what happens? The sperms will float towards it. Okay, so what it puts out a chemical and invites the sperms to come and fertilize. Okay, so one sperm fuses with an egg and produces a diploid zygote. See, so after this thing is done, after fertilization is done, this thing is formed. The diploid zygote is formed. Okay, zygotes do not undergo reduction, division immediately. Instead, they produce a multicellular body called sporophyte. See. Okay, so very easy to understand. There is Archegonium and there is anthrazoid. Archegonium invites the antheridium to send the sperms. It fertilizes and becomes a diploid zygote. This diploid zygote now becomes a full-fledged gametophytic body. Okay. So, as I said, that was the basic idea. Now what happens? We'll see in liverworts and in mosses we'll see what happens. So, this is how a liverwort looks. Okay. So, here the special structure, what you can see is, they have some kind of a cup kind of a structure on top of the leaf. Okay. So, if this is the leaf or this is the plant body, okay, they have kind of cups kind of structure. Okay, they have a cup kind of a structure. Those are known as gamma cup. Now, gamma cups are used for asexual reproduction. Okay, now we read whatever is happening. Okay, so these are found, liverworts are examples of bryophytes. These are found in moist, shady regions such as marshy ground, banks of streams, damp soil, bark trees, basically moist areas. Okay, that's all you have to remember, basically moist areas. Okay, plant body is thalloid, such as example, again, examples are very important, Marchantia, that is an example. Okay, the thallus is dorsiventral, see, dorsiventral thallus, and the leafy members have small leaf-like appendages on stem-like structures. See, these things. Okay. Now, asexual reproduction is through fragmentation or formation of gamma. As I said, the gamma cups. That helps in the asexual reproduction. Okay, there are no gametes involved. There is no archegonium and antheridium and all. Okay, that and all is not there. It's just with the help of gamma, they go through fragmentation and they reproduce. Okay, and during sexual reproduction, male and female sex organs are produced on the same or different thalli. Okay, so maybe, see, this thing is thallus. Okay, sometimes on the same thallus you might find the male gametophyte and the female gametophyte. Sometimes it is different. So this one here you can see there is female gametophyte over here and this one is male gametophyte. Again, same idea, Archegonia and Theridium. So female gametophyte it has the archegonial structure. Male gametophyte has the antheridial structure. So we know that it is a cryptogam. The moment you know it's a cryptogam, so means they are reproducing via spores. So you can see the sperms. Okay, so the sperms, they travel to the egg, okay, and forms the embryo, and it forms the sporophyte. These spores help in the formation of rhizoids, a mature rhizoid. That is a smaller rhizoid and this is a mature rhizoid. So they are reproducing via spores. They have fertilization. There is diploid fertilization, formation of diploid organs and everything. But the actual reproduction is taking place via the spores. Okay, the sporophyte is differentiated into foot, seta and capsule. Post meiosis, the spores are produced within the capsule. These spores germinate for the formation of free living keratophytes. Okay, next one is moss. Okay, little bit hazy picture. I understand that. It's okay, no problem. We'll see what can be done. Okay, so there are again in mosses there are two kinds of stage. Okay, see, everything is important. Whatever I'm saying here is important and can be used for question purposes. So the first stage is protonema stage, which develops directly from the spores. So there is the protonema stage here. Okay, the first stage is the protonema stage, and the next stage is leafy stage, which develops from the secondary protonema as later. The leafy stage. Okay, where the leaves are formed. Okay, they are attached attach to the soil through multicellular and branch rhizoids. Again, you can see rhizoids here. As I said, bryophytes, they have rhizoids. Okay. And vegetative reproduction in mosses by fragmentation and budding in the secondary protonema. Okay. So here you can see the whole thing, the typical life cycle of a typical moss. Okay. So in protonema, what happens? See, there are rhizoids. Okay. Mature gametophytes. There is a female gametophyte, and there's a male gametophyte. Okay. So again, same idea, Antheridium and Archegonium, there is the fertilization between the male and the female gametes, okay, and it forms the zygote. That again grows, okay, forms the embryo, and when it starts producing spores, that is when the production of the whole moss plant happens. Okay. So in sexual reproduction, the sex organs Antheridia and Archegonia produce zygote, which develops into a sporophyte consisting of both seed and capsule. That's all I said. Okay, so you don't have to repeat it again and again and again. Same idea, basically it's the same idea, but little bit difference there. There was gamma cups. Here there are no gamma cups as such. Okay, it's a more simpler plant. Okay, and the basic idea of the life cycle is same. Last one is Peridotophyta. Okay, terrestrial plants with true roots, stem and leaves, but no flowers, fruits and seeds. Okay, so last one, Teradophytes, they are the most developed kind of cryptogams. Okay, so they are called vascular cryptogams. Why they are known as vascular cryptogams? Because these are the only plants which have some tissues. Okay, these are the only cryptogams which have some tissues. So I'm not talking about phanerogams. I'm talking about only cryptogams. So they are the only ones which are having some tissues. Okay, so the Teradophytes include horsetails and ferns. These are examples again. Remember examples. Okay, the Teradophytes are terrestrial, small, either annual or perennial, and grow luxuriantly in cool, moist and shady places. Okay, so this one, they do not actually need a lot of water around it, but they are growing in very cool and shady places. Okay, and they may be aquatic, such as Azolla, Marsilia, xerophytic, such as Epiphytum, and epiphytic, such as Lycopodium, that's growing on large trunks of trees, basically parasites. Okay, so this is again, as I said, life cycle of bryophytes, life cycle of teratophytes, very important. So this is the whole life cycle. Okay, so you can see they have vascular, they have division, and there are some leaves, there's a stem, there are roots. Not everything is true in their form, but what we can actually see is they are way more developed than algae. Okay, algae had basically just a body. These are differentiated into sections. Okay, now there is alternation of generation in the lifespan of teratophytes. This is known as metagenesis. Just like seed bearing plants and mosses, there is diploid generation and haploid generation. See, in sexual reproduction, even in humans, you can see that there is a haploid generation, there is a diploid generation. Okay, the gametes are haploid. Okay, the egg, the sperms, they are all haploid. Okay, half number of chromosomes, and when they fertilize, they become diploid. The zygote is basically diploid. Similarly, in plants also, more developed ones, they have alternation of generation. There is a haploid generation. There is a half of the life cycle is haploid. Okay, half number of chromosomes, and half of them is diploid. Okay, so you can see here. So sporangium, the diploid generation is the sporophyte, which produces the spores. See here. Okay, so what happens? The haploid generation is the gametophyte, which produces the gametes. As I said, the gametes, okay, male gamete, female gamete, those are haploid. Okay, so see here, these are haploid. Okay, and when the zygote forms, it becomes diploid. Okay, both the sporophyte and gametophyte are independent and free living. This you should remember. Okay, the whole life cycle is independent and free living. Okay, so we'll solve some questions. Some questions we'll solve, and then we can leave for today. Okay, so what is common in all three? Funaria, Triopteris, and Ginkgo. So what is common in all three. Independent sporophyte, presence of Archegonia, well-developed vascular tissues, independent gametophyte. So we have to say Funaria, Diopterus and Ginkgo. First, as I said, you have to remember all the examples. So when you remember all the examples, what will happen? You will know what is Funaria, what is Ginkgo, what is Diopterus. Okay, so the moment you remember the examples, you'll be able to, okay, I know that what Ginkgo is, what Diopterus is, what Funaria is. Accordingly, I'll know the characteristics. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so Funaria is, see here, the female sex organ of Archegonia is formed by Bryophytes. So Funaria is a Bryophyte. Diopterus, okay, is a Teradophyte. And Ginkgo is a gymnosperm. So what happens? Everybody has the presence of Archegonia. The female Antheridium and Archegonium, all of these three have the Archegonium. So that is the most important, like the most common characteristic. Okay, next. Read the following 5 statements A to E and select the option with all the correct statements. So this is a very common question you can see in NEET, okay? So they'll give you 20,000, or not 20,000 actually, some 4 or 5 options they'll give, statements they'll give, and you have to select what are the correct ones. Okay, so each statement, read each statement very carefully, okay? Because one word here and there and it becomes a false statement, okay? So mosses and lichens are the first organisms to colonize on bare rock. So we know these are all primitive plants. Mosses and lichens are, mosses is a bryophyte, lichens are algae. So half algae, half fungi. So they are the first organisms to colonize bare rock. Let us consider this. Okay. Selaginella is a homosporous pteridophyte. No, just now we read it. Selaginella is heterosporous. A pteridophyte is heterosporous. Okay, it's not homosporous. So it is heterosporous. So this is wrong. Okay. Corallite roots in cycas have VAM. So corallite root in cycas, they don't have VAM. VAM is vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. So corallite roots in cycas, they don't have VAM. What they have is, they have blue-green algae or they have Anabaena nostax, basically cyanobacteria they have. Okay, cycas, they have cyanobacteria. Okay, so this is also wrong. Let's see, main plant body in Bryophytes is gametophytic, whereas Teradophytes, it's sporophytic. Just now we read that. Okay, main plant body in Bryophytes is gametophytic and Teradophytes is sporophytic. So this is right. Okay, so in gymnosperms, male and female gametophytes are present within sporangia located on sporophyte. This is also correct. So what we found is A is correct, D is correct and E is correct. So I think it can be option B. So let's see C. Option B. So this is how you solve a question, okay? Take everything and then accordingly you consider all the statements, read it, see if it's right or wrong and then you decide. Okay. Okay, K dice, आप आ गए, मानना पड़ेगा मेरी टाइमिंग को. गुड इवनिंग मैम. गुड इवनिंग के डाइस. अरे रियल आईडी से आओ, तुम्हारा नाम क्या है वो भी तो हम लोग जाने ताकि तुमसे ठीक से बात कर सके, है ना? तो टाइमिंग का दो, ठीक है, जवाब नहीं, अच्छी बात है, आ गए तो पढ़ लो थोड़ा सा, वीडियो भी देख लो पूरा, ठीक है, लगता है सब्सक्राइब भी कर लिया है तो बढ़िया बात है. तो ठीक से नाम बताओ तो हम लोग भी थोड़ा सा गुफ्तगू कर सकें, है ना? ओके, सो लास्ट क्वेश्चन आज का. थोड़ा सा लेट आए हो लेकिन भैया, क्योंकि मैम माय रियल नेम इज परी। अच्छा चलो ठीक है परी जी, देख लीजिए आज का लेकिन लास्ट क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है। हम लोग डॉट 4 बजे शुरू करते हैं, अगर सच्ची में पढ़ना है मेरे से तो 4 बजे आया करो, ठीक है। सो विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट करेक्टली मैच फॉर द ऑर्गेनिज्म and its cell wall degrading enzyme? So cell wall, we know plants they have cell wall, okay, and there are some the cell walls are different in different kinds of plants. Okay, so what we need an enzyme to break the cell wall. Plant cells cellulase, okay, we know this is correct. Algae methylase, this might be a problem. Fungi chitinase, because just now I said fungi they have a cell wall and that cell wall is made up of chitin, okay, so this might be correct. Bacteria lysozyme, so correct, it ruptures, lysozyme basically will rupture the cell wall, cell membrane. Okay, so let's see C, algae and methylase. It won't, algae is a plant, algae is a plant, okay, so algae will not, the cell of algae will not rupture, okay, it will only rupture with it won't rupture with methylase, it will only rupture with the help of cellulase. Okay, see, algae is a plant, so its cell wall is made up of cellulose, so it will only work with cellulase, ठीक है, तो it will only work with cellulase, not with any other enzyme. Okay then, so आज के लिए इतना ही। परी जी आपको अगर पढ़ना है सच्ची में तो 4 बजे एवरी मंडे टू फ्राइडे आ जाया करो, ठीक है। 4 बजे कुछ ना कुछ हम लोग करते ही हैं चैनल में, कोई ना कोई तो आ ही जाता है, पढ़ा ही देता है, कुछ ना कुछ पढ़ा ही देता है, आपको भी कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, ठीक है। तो आ जाया करो, सब्सक्राइब करो, प्रैक्टिकली का ऐप डाउनलोड करो, ठीक है, तो फिर मजा आ जाएगा। आखिर लाइव हम लोग लाइव सेशंस भी करते हैं, बहुत कुछ करते हैं, ठीक है, तो आ जाया करो आप, ओके। एंड फॉर एवरीबॉडी एल्स, थैंक यू एवरीवन फॉर ज्वाइनिंग एंड आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास, बाय बाय।